Hey, everybody, welcome back, and thanks for joining another episode of Australia's longest running basketball podcast. As always, you're listening to our host, Dan Boyce, and our guest for this episode, a two-time NBL champion winning titles with both Wollongong and Adelaide. In fact, the first player to ever win back-to-back titles with two different NBL teams. Played over 100 games in the NBL with stints with Wollongong and Adelaide, of course. It's Matt Garrison. Matt, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much.
Mate, really cool to have you on the show. It's been a while since we saw you here in Australia. I know you've carved out a little bit of a career overseas and now as a coach over there in the States. But what have you been up to since we last saw you over here?
After I left Australia, then I had a couple workouts with the Lakers and I had a couple workouts with the Clippers. I ended up signing with the Clippers in 2003. I made it through vet camp and I was the last cut. And then I signed with Paul Westhead in the ABA the next day. They were like, "Hey, stick around, maybe get a 10-day hang around." But, you're kind of you're too old of a rookie. I was 29 at the time. By the time I was kind of good enough, I was too old, but they were like, "Hey, stick around." So I signed the next day in the ABA with Paul Westhead, and he was going to coach whatever the Long Beach team was, I think. And I was like, nah, the ABA is just it's just kind of hit or miss. So I got a good job in Lebanon the next day, a good offer. I just got married to my wife, and we got 3 boys now, but 2003 was a big summer. Got married, made the Clippers. Anyways, went to Lebanon, went to Beirut, and played for Al Riyadi that next year, and just kind of left it and did we did most of the season in Beirut, and then the team kind of folded. We couldn't make the playoffs. Came back to LA, and then I was talking to my buddy. And I was walking by him on the beach, my Japanese buddy of mine who was an agent. And I was like, "Hey," his name was Gene. I was like, "Hey, Gene, how you doing?" He's like, "You got any room for me in Japan?" He's like, "I don't know." And so a week later, he calls me. He's like, "I got this guy coming into town to try out for Japan. They don't know you've never seen you, but it could be a good workout. You never know." And they'd flown in 10 or 12 guys, about 30 guys in the gym or something. And I stood out, ended up signing with that team that day. I signed a contract on the bleachers with the agent and then with that team that night at dinner, and was over there 5 years, played 5 years over there.
And that transitioned to some coaching as well, right?
Yeah. So then I came back. I was there 5 years. I was 35 at the time. And both my first 2 sons were born there. I was just like, had him in school and stuff. And I was like, "Babe, what are we doing? This is getting, what are we doing? I'm 35, I'm still healthy, can get out now." So I came back home, went back to LA where we stayed in the summers. Called another buddy of mine. I was like, "Hey, do you got anything going? I'd like to get into college coaching." So I started talking to some college coaches in the area. And he's like, "Hey, I got this interesting opportunity at a high school." And I was like, "I don't want to do high school." He's like, "Yeah, it's different though. It's in the Trinity League. It's a big time high school program. It's with Mater Dei and Orange Lou is Jay Sarah. So it's a big, one of the best high school program leagues in the nation." So I was like, "All right, let me try it." And then I did that 2 years. And then my club that I just finished playing on, Niigata Albirex, called me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to think about coming back and coaching?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely." So packed up the family, went back to Japan, and was there 2 years. Got coach of the year my second year. And then, now I'm 40, it's the same kind of thing. Like now the kids are even older and I'm going, what are we doing? Do we want to do the coaching overseas and drag our kids around the world or go back home? And had some offers come in and some opportunities, but it was at that time with the 3 boys, I was just like, we can't keep living out of a suitcase and ripping and running. We got to get these guys in a good school and get them in church and get them back to like American upbringing. That the coaching world's hit or miss. You win a few, you're on top of the world. You lose, and you're on an airplane. I was just like, I just don't want to drag the kids through that stuff. So ended up, buying a house in Montana, lived there, and then I took the job down here the next, a few months later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so the kids, were they born in Japan or born back in the States?
2 were born in Japan, and then 1 was born in Orange County. Yeah.
Because the NBL's got the Asian player rule, right? So there you
I
go.
know.
Could get some local Garrison talent over there. Sounds
That
all
would be
right.
fun. When
Uh,
unfortunately my wife let us down on the height side of things. So we're
so,
they're all playing
mate, that
football. We're all American
well,
football players. They love it.
gotcha. No worry. And the NBL, do you keep a bit of an eye on that in between coaching?
I do. The stuff I get on my feed and everything. I kind of like watched what some of the league, like what the teams are making and paying, and then who's in to the top 10, all the top 10 lists. I kind of follow that. But yeah, obviously 2 years ago, when the Hawks won the championship, I followed all that. That was awesome. That was so fun to watch. I was so proud of them and happy for Matt Campbell and all the guys that are involved and Coach Tatum. They did a great job. It was so fun.
Because a lot of the Hawks players from that '01 championship team kind of got together, whether it be in person or there was a couple of media segments and whatnot. Did you get a chance to chat to many of the guys over that time period?
Yeah, when they did the reunion, they got like me and Charles on the phone, and they were that whole weekend they called us a couple 2-3 times. They're at dinner or whatever, and wish you were here. And I think that was because during COVID we couldn't come out there. But yeah, me and Charles stay in touch. We'll check in. That we'll do our yearly check in. How you doing? How's it going? Send a couple pics and stuff. But yeah, I wish I could have been out there for the reunion. That would have been phenomenal. But yeah, I talked to, like I said, I talked to Matt Campbell once or twice a year, and Axel, and chat on Facebook with Luke Doherty and Sav. Those guys will chat here and there. But I watch them though. Shanahan, they're all coaching, they're all doing something. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're all involved.
There's a lot of coaches in that crew when you think about it. Yeah, like Shanahan. Yeah, Matt's there in the front office. You got
Yep.
Darren Perry's been coaching for years. A lot of basketball minds. Damon
Yep.
Lowry. A few people might find that a contentious statement, but he's definitely out there sharing his basketball mind. Whether
I
people
love it.
how
I
people see
love
it's
it.
up to them. But
And
yeah, well,
there's so many guys from Australia coaching in American, like in college.
yeah.
So many coaches in college. I watch them, they pop up, and I'm like, wow, good for them. It's awesome.
Well, your journey, you were a standout high school player in Montana and went play for two colleges over there. Started out Montana State before you transferred to Biola NAIA school, and then
Yep.
ended up becoming a pro. I guess what happened during that time period before we saw you on our shows? We've covered everything, I guess, since we saw you. I guess how did you end up here in the first place? Might be a good place to start.
Well, the it was tough. It was a tough journey. How I made it specifically to the Hawks was I replaced a guy, Muncie, maybe his name was. I can't remember. I never met him,
Todd,
but
it was Todd Munn.
Todd.
He was a high pick in the NBA draft. Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. So our agent got a call. We were all in the gym. Our agency, all the guys working out, were in the gym. And he gets on the phone and he's like, "Hey, I got a call. It's a coach." And he was talking to Brendan Joyce, and Brendan was explaining the kind of player he needed. High energy, this. And he goes, he needs to be able to hit the high post jump shot. And he pointed at me on the phone and he goes, "Garrison, like high post jump shot." I was like, "That's me." Everyone in the gym was like, "Yeah, that's Garrison." Because that was kind of my sweet spot. But so that's kind of how I ended up getting it, was that specific request, was the high-low game. Does he mind coming off the bench? Does he mind bringing energy? And I was like, I'll play for free. I don't care. I just want to play, So I'd played in the USBL. Rick Barry was my first coach. The USBL for like those 3-month kind of seasons, in the IBL. There was another one I was in San Diego with Master P, like owned our team. It was a
Oh yeah.
circus. It was a circus. Then I went to Austria, and like their high level, which was very low, but it was great for me because I was an unproven unknown, and I'm from
Yeah.
an NAI school, and they just don't, they don't take NAI guys. But I was kind of, that what they say, in betweener. I forget what they call me. You do just a little bit of everything, and but what was hard though about when I came to you guys, I was learning a whole new position. I was a 5 in high school and a 5 in college. And the first day I turned pro, it was like, "Okay, turn around, face the other way." And you have to learn to, play the game almost backwards. And so it was really, really hard to completely learn a new position and to get the skill sets I needed to play at that level was shocking. That I was like, in 3 years of playing all those little leagues and playing all summer, I was in the summer pro league playing, 40 games in the summer, just grinding, playing anywhere in the world, before I went to Bulgaria and Dubai and just these money tournaments, just trying to get better and trying to be that stretch four, kind of that face up four, maybe even a three. And so it was all learning curve. So when I got to you guys, I was still on a massive learning curve. And I was so fortunate to get invited back that championship year because they were going to get somebody else. I mean, obviously there's tons of guys more polished and better than I was and bigger, but the guys liked me. I was really good in the locker room. We really, really got along. I was a locker room guy and I would do whatever Brendan says. I loved it. Not always well, he was on me a lot. There was one time I was standing next to Campbell and he was mad at me for something, calling me some names. I go, Matt, does he know my first name or is it just a cuss word? Does he actually know it? We joked about it, but that team got along so well and our bench was so, just so well. We do anything for each other. So I think that was a big part of like who I was of getting invited back because the locker room was pleasant and they knew I was going to, come in shape and ready to work hard and be competitive and all those intangibles. And I didn't care if I started to come off the bench. I was still just like, I just want to play. And so that was actually my first full season anywhere professionally was the year we won the championship. And
Yeah.
that's what was so crazy. Then the next year to do it again, after getting fired at Cairns, it was just like, what is just amazing, like what the Lord was doing and those doors getting opened. And then I'd go back in the summer leagues and I'd play this. I'd learn to kind of really increase my range. And me and our agency, all we did was just shoot, 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 shoot. They're like, Matt, you got to be a shooter to get it to the next level or get invited back. You just got to increase your range. So I just spent all summer, even the year before I went back to Adelaide, just shooting threes in the summer league, just 3-point shooting. I really started to develop the 3-point shot and get the depth and really, really known for a catch and shoot guy. And so with the 2 championships, that's when the Lakers brought me in. I did a 1 week a couple years before that with CJ Bruton. He was working out with Portland. So he let me come kind of work out with them and just build my confidence and wasn't going to make the team. It was just building confidence, being around the guys, being around that level. And then I did a workout. We played the Kings. I was just like these confidence building things like, man, I can kind of be at this level. But it was taking me so long to learn that new face up game that I didn't play in high school and college. So it's all learning the whole time. So when the Clippers kind of heard about the NBL championships, it's just like I was kind of there by default. It's like I'm in LA. There's free agent division. I won the MVP kind of just by default. A couple of the main guys didn't come to the championship game. And so,
Yeah.
Lord opened the door. I get it. I get that, the NBL, I think in 2000, they finished 4th in the Olympics, right? Wasn't it like
Yep.
Spain, USA, Spain, France, US? So then it's like, okay, here's this kid in LA tearing it up. I was on the Nike circuit, won the MVP at the beach, like a beach league with Nike. Had my wedding on MTV. Like they did this portion of my wedding. It's like this whole big story. Anyways, so we're hearing about this guy, but the NBL championships on my resume were so ginormous because it was it was like they finished 4th in the world, Aussies did. And then there's this guy that only have 2 Americans and so, we have to look at him, you know what I mean? Like we have to bring him in to do our jobs. We have no interest in him. And but it's just like when you have the NBL on your resume and you have a championship, and then NBL, they finish 4th in the world and half the guys in the league are playing on the Olympic team. You're just by default at that level where now you're
You have to look.
catapulted into this. Yeah. Like we have
Yeah.
to look at you. And then I was just ready for my opportunities. I go into those workouts and I was ready for my opportunity and I absolutely shot the lights out. And so I feel I was a better player because of the NBL, like after the NBL. And then in Japan, you had to do everything. You had to post up. So it was great. I had college backing. I could shoot the three and I made the all-star team. The league was growing back then. It's not what it is now. It's unbelievable now.
Mm.
But I won the 3-point contest twice at the All-Star game. Like, what? Like, I'm a 5 in high school and I'm shooting threes in the pros now. And, so I was just proud of like the hard work and really being able to shoot that 3 ball extended my career. But just Australia is just what started it all. Like the Lord just had a plan and just being in the right place at the right time and being a good teammate, I felt was super important. And, all those things and that goes into being a champion. I remember with my workout with the Clippers, you have like 20 workouts before a decision maker really gets in the gym. You're working with all the guys kind of, hey, I'll rebound for this guy, and I just kept impressing guys. Like I just didn't miss shots. I'd hit 15 in a row, like 40, 20, 30 in a row. You just get into a
It's good.
rhythm.
It's a good time period to get hot, isn't it?
It was. And so, but I didn't care. I had nothing to lose. I had absolutely no
Mm.
pressure. Like I had zero chance, it's like just play free and just, that was really good. But I had confidence, just, tons of confidence from all the work we put in. But Dunleavy, I was working with I was on Lamar Odom's like 5-on-5. We were playing 5-on-5 and it was like Corey McGetty, Lamar Odom, Elton Brand was on the other team. I think I had Quentin Richardson was our guard and Keon Dooling and me. It was like whatever, us 5 against whatever 5. And we won. And Lamar Odom's like, hey, we found our shooter. We found our shooter. And I'm freaking out. Like Lamar's like, what is happening? Like, because I'd throw it and then they'd leave me because I'm no one, and then they'd go double the stars and come back to me. They're like, shoot it. And I'm like, okay. So I started making it and just kind of, you're in that arena with that kind of guy and that caliber. So that was special. Just coming from, I guess, humble beginnings of just like, now I'm in with the the Clippers. Obviously, one of the worst teams in the league probably that year, Dunleavy's first year. But to me, it was like all this work and going through what we went through and just, but Australia was such a huge part of that, like the main part that if we didn't win and we're champions, like nothing else happens. It's just back to, I think the Lord had a plan, but it was funny. So I had my shirt off. We were changing and I went over to Dunleavy and he calls me over and they're like up in the stands. It was like Elgin Baylor and him. And they're like, hey, rookie, good workout. I was like, thanks. And they're like, do you shoot like that every day? I was like, yes, sir. And can you play that hard every single day? I go, yes, sir. This is my interview. And
Yeah.
I had my hand behind my back and just you could see I was in good shape. And they're like, how old are you? Literally, this is the dumbest thing I've ever said. I go, how old do I look? And it was like, what he kind of like hits the guy, like, who is this guy? Like I put my head down, kind of body language, like, I shouldn't have said, I go, I just turned 29, sir. He's like, all right, see you tomorrow. That was my interview. And I think in that moment of like, how old do I look was a little like what, cheeky, right? Like it was like, I have nothing to lose. I already know you're asking because I'm way too old to even be considered. But like what you saw, you liked. And you got this guy running around playing hard, making shots. He's like, if you can keep shooting like that and play that hard, we'll give you looks. That was my 30-second interview. I thought I blew it, but it might have impressed him just with like, this guy just he's got nothing to lose, like,
Yeah.
but they invited me in and, got cut later. And it was like this dream just to be standing there at that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, just the work that you'd put in and that type of thing to validate all that stuff, no doubt played a part
Yeah.
in that too, right? Yeah.
No, it was huge. Huge. But I learned so much from Brendan and Phil. Like I still have this book that Brendan made us fill out. Like it was this weekly checklist for every game and your scout. I still have it. I still have it. I learned so much from those guys and just the Aussies, man. Like you guys are, I mean, what's the second best league in the world, right? I mean, NBL's the league out of the NBA, correct?
I mean, there'd probably be tougher teams and better talent in Europe, but I guess when you talk about leagues that are similar to the NBA, it's probably the best league that's similar to the NBA, if
There
you
you
put it
go.
that way.
There
Like
you go.
it's up and down, and you got a lot of guys that are getting picked up from the NBL and going into the NBA and next star programs and stuff like that. Josh Giddey, LaMelo Ball as of late, all that type of thing. So, but yeah, I think if you were to throw a lot of our top teams against the top Euro teams, they'd probably come out second best. But in terms of teams that are, I guess, a league that's pretty similar to the run and gun style of the NBA, we'd probably be the best team, be the best league out there. Yeah.
And you guys got some of the best athletes too coming out of that. I mean, it's just amazing. The young
Yeah.
athletes you guys have.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a good period for us, but I mean, there's a lot of parallels. You spent some time in Japan, and I mean, the rise of that Japanese league and the rise of the Australian league, they've kind of been a bit parallel the last decade or so, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%. I think the Japanese league So Albrecht's, the team I was on with Coach Hirose, was the first team to go professional because they used to work at some of the Japanese guys would work at Panasonic or work at Toshiba,
Yep.
and guys like Charles O'Bannon were over there playing. And so, you had 2 Americans per team. But our team's the one that started the professional side of it. And there was like 6 or 8 teams those first year, and it grew, and then it just exploded after that. It just took off. And so when I was coaching, there was 22 teams in the top division, no second division. Now there's 3 divisions with,
Mm.
2014. It's insane. They're
There's that
throwing a
Premier
ton of
League
money
starting
at it.
this year or next year or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I was there, a lot of the tall Japanese, there was not a ton of money in it for them, and so they were all playing volleyball. So
Huh.
they're all playing for the Olympic team or the national team because there was some money there. So the 6'5" to 6'8" athletic Japanese dudes were all playing volleyball. And so now some of those guys are, transitioning. The bigger kids are having a chance to stay and play in Japan. So and make some good money.
And I have to circle back because a wedding on MTV. What's this
Yeah.
about? What's going on here?
Well, it was so we played for this thing called Nike Battlegrounds, and then every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what it was they were promoting this battleground shoe that they would use at Venice Beach. So all of us at Venice Beach, we had teams in the Nike Battleground tournaments in the summer, and they'd pay 30 grand. So if you won the
Because this was
summer,
kind of, if I'm right, Matt, sorry to buddy, but this is off the back of like and one mixtapes and kind of like
yes,
leveraging off that, right? Like the whole
yes,
street ball thing. Yeah.
100% promoting street ball. Yes, promoting street ball and what it means to people. And so Battlegrounds, all the shoes and gear they would give to us before it hit the shelves. So Venice Beach is so popular. You have thousands of people walking by every day watching games, and they're announcing. You got guys dunking. There's cheerleaders. It's just they made a big show of it every Saturday from like 9 to noon or noon, to 1. So there's just thousands of people from all over the world. It's genius marketing. Throw it on some athletes, and they get to see it before it hits the shelves. And so we are just free marketing for Nike. We loved it because we're getting free gear all the time. And so I think the second or third year I played in it, we won, and I got MVP. I think I got MVP. I can't remember, but we won 30 grand, and we split it up amongst the guys. Pretty much paid our parking for the summer. We didn't care. It was so fun. But from that, they created at like year 4, maybe year 3 or 4. Out of that 5-on-5, they created this thing called King of the World, and they were like, who's the best one-on-one player from every city? We're going to have a tournament in every city: Detroit, Houston, New York, Philly, a lot of the East Coast, Rutgers Park, all those legend parks. They
Yep.
wanted to have a kind of a king of the court. And so they selected all the best one-on-one players in each city, and then they won 25,000. If you win your city, then you go king of the world to New York, and you play in a cage. It's all in a cage. And so Venice Beach, they put a cage in the middle. It was nuts. So I ended up becoming one of the finalists for that. And at a previous like a top 30, I think it started with top 32. And Nike's like, hey, we want to select you and everything. And I go, I'm not a one-on-one player. Like, I'm terrible. Or it's like Nike's on the phone. They're like, we need a white guy. We need a white guy. I was like, okay, by default, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I've had
Look,
success by default before, no problem. But I was like, hey, no, I get free gear. It was another fun place to play, another fun story. Well, I ended up winning. I went to the final 8 for LA because the cage wasn't just basketball. It's kind of just you could bang and hit, and it was more just people on the cage screaming and more, Gotham City style basketball, a little bloody. It was a battleground, right? And so, I
yeah.
fed into that little character a little bit, and ended up winning. Well, after the first night, there's Nike corporate was standing there at this I don't know, in the where the gym where the little cage was. They were talking. I go, man, that stinks. Like the finals it's on our wedding day, and I'm talking to my wife. Well, there was an interview going on with the TV camera, and I didn't know who it was, but this guy turns around, he goes, excuse me? And I go, oh, hi. And all the cameras turn around. So now you got these like cameras interviewing this guy. It ended up being someone high up in Nike. And he goes, what do you mean you're not going to play? I go, it's our wedding on that day that the championship is. He's like, you're playing. You're like a crowd favorite. Like you won at the buzzer. And it was crazy. It's like, "I'm not playing." And my wife's like, "He's not playing. Like, he's not playing in a basketball game on our wedding day." He's like, "Yes, he is. We're Nike. We're gonna figure it out." And my mom's like, "What?" So, but they're on camera, right? So they kinda had to come up with this thing. So anyways, they called and they were like, "Hey, is there a way you could still do your wedding and play?" And I was like, "I don't know. Yeah, but that's gonna cost a lot of money." They're like, "What if we help?" I go, "What does that mean? What if we help? Like, this is what are you talking about?" And so what they did is we they had me play last that night late and they had a backup if I didn't make it. And so we had our wedding, we did our pictures, we did our food, did everything, had our dance, all that, all that kind of stuff was going on. And it's kind of winding down in our wedding. And then we didn't tell any of our guests. We had, I don't know, 250 guests. It was a huge wedding. All of a sudden, cameras come in and the MTV pops in, boom. They're like, "Okay, Matt's been selected to play in this little thing. The bride and the groom are going to go." They thought it was like steal the bride and groom game, and no one knew what was going on. So everyone's like, "Come outside." So outside was a limo and two buses. So they got us a couple buses, loaded up our fans, and basically got them down to the Venice Beach in time to watch me play this game in the cage. So that's kind of what it was. And then MTV filmed the whole thing. On each person, they filmed a segment of each person's story. So
Yeah.
my segment was like real quick 5 minutes
Yeah.
of like, the segment part of it or whatever. So that was kind of a neat thing. We got a police escort down to Venice Beach. That was kind of
That's
neat
pretty
to
cool.
get there on time. Yeah, it was cool. There was a limo. No, no kidding. No kidding. This is how massive Nike is. There's a limo in front. I'm not kidding. Two CHP sheriffs on motorcycles, two in front, two in back. And I'm not kidding. There's a dude in the front seat. MTV's in the car, like filming us going to the game. And a chopper comes overhead. And that chopper told the guy in the front, told the cops and the guy in the front seat where to go through traffic so we could get there on time. Because we were up like, what? We were like, "What? There's no way, bro." So, yeah. So, we got this police escort down just so I could play in a dumb one-on-one thing. It was fun, though.
Pretty wild.
So,
But
it was
ear
wild.
early reality TV though, you were the
Yeah.
original Kardashians in a way.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, let's come back to the NBL because I guess, yeah, you're talking to Brendan on the phone and you walked us through that. But I guess, how did that opportunity come about? Like, how did they find you or how did you find them? Where's that start?
I don't know. I mean, my agent was making a relationship with Brendan and the club, and Chuck Harmonson was our GM at the time.
Yep.
And they are just I think my agent was just one of the agents. They were just doing their job. And so there was a videotape that they sent, like probably like a VHS, seriously, where they'd kind of seen it. But they needed me quickly, and I'm sure other people. The fact that I was available was saying something. That means you're probably not very good. All the other good players are playing somewhere, so
Or
they
have an
needed
attitude
someone
usually. Usually they're the
or
ones
have an
available mid
attitude, or they're
Yep.
they're too expensive. I was a budget
Yep.
deal, and unproven, and so they didn't have to. There wasn't a lot of risk with me, except just is he good enough? But when they did their research, they'd heard he works hard, he's comes ready to go, he's in shape, and yeah, he can shoot that shot. So they did bring me down on like a tryout, make good kind of workout, I would imagine, if I remember right. And I got here and I was ready to go. Like I remember like, "Hey, do you want to go to do you want to go to your hotel and check in?" I was like, "Nah, man, like let's go to the gym." And the boys were working out and they said that was kind of weird. Like I just went from the airport, we went straight to the weight room. And I walked in and the guys were lifting and they're like, I had a shirt and shorts in my bag. I remember just going straight and lifting. They're like, "Don't you want to go home?" If I go home, I can fall asleep. Like I'm so excited to be here. You guys have no idea. So that kind of was like, that first impression. And then we went and straight got lunch. I threw my bags in in the little apartment or hotel, whatever it was. I don't remember. And then went straight back to training that night. Didn't go home and sleep or anything. It's just like, wow, like not a lot of Americans do that. I was like, I'm ready, man. Because we did a workout in the morning. I left, drove to the airport, flew 12 hours, got out. I slept on the plane. I got out. It's morning. I'm like, it's another workout. Let's go. I'm ready for a workout. I was a workout junkie. So I did that every year. I did that everywhere I went. I hated fly in a week early to acclimate. I was like, dude, when I get off the plane, I'm ready. Don't have to worry about that. I'm already going to be in shape, like, so that was something that I kind of stuck with me. I did that when I went to Japan and They're like, "Oh, we're gonna fly." He's like, "I'm not coming out early. I'm finishing up games in summer league. I'll work out in the morning, get on the flight. I get off the plane. We'll go straight to the gym. Like, let's go." I never stopped. So
Because yeah, they had Todd Munt. He was a big name NBA center at the time. I think he averaged 8-9 points that season. They persisted with him for the majority of the year, and then he was probably on a pretty big contract. And like I said, you were coming in for peanuts pretty much. So to jettison him off and bring you in, I know at this stage you hadn't played a full NBA, a full season anywhere, but you did come in and score 24 points your first game, average 17 points. So when they did bring you back the following season, it wasn't just because you were a nice guy and a hard worker, I think.
oh yeah, that's right. I did. Oh, I remember. I remember what the big break for me, and it was a break, was the kid that played at Sydney, Kendrick. He was at Sydney. He's playing for the Kings, and he had that huge dunk, that leaning dunk, and he dunked it in that
Kendrick
game.
Johnson, you're talking about,
Yes,
yeah.
Kendrick. So me and Kendrick, we had worked out all summer and like forever. We worked out, and he vouched for me. I remember whoever said anything, because Kendrick's like, "I work out with this kid every day. He doesn't miss the high post jump shot. Like, trust me." Like, he wouldn't have done that to mess up his name if it wasn't true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was having a great year and he was making a name for himself. I remember that. And so when he said, "This dude I work out with can do what he's saying he's going to do, and does he work hard?" The dude was like, "Yes, like 100% yes." And I do remember now that first game, I had a little baby dunk, and I pointed up in the crowd because Kendrick came to the game. Kendrick came to that game at the Hawks, and that's who I was pointing at. And they were like, "Who are you pointing?" I was like, "Kendrick." He's like, "Kendrick came to watch you play? Like, who are you? Like, Kendrick's a big name. Like, why did he come watch it? Like, the players don't come watch each other." He's like, "That's my boy." Like, we were like so tight in our workouts and so close. We were like, someone's gonna make it. Like, me or you, we're gonna make it, dude. We're right there. And our agent, we were like, there was 4 or 5 of us. My agent was like, "I know you guys can play. Just no one knows who you are. Like, just keep working hard, keep playing. You just need a break. You just need a break. You just need an opportunity." And he's like, "You're going to be ready." Cause we worked hard. We were in shape. Like, our workouts were very, very tough. We called them NBA workouts, and everyone in the gym, like, we wouldn't let guys in the gym unless you were going to come and absolutely get after it. And Kendrick's one of those guys, like, we just loved each other. We're both from like small towns and like hard workers. And so that's what it was. That was the big key, I think, was another player putting his name on an unknown. That goes a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, yeah, I guess Sydney and Illawarra are pretty close. They've always had, contact between each other. And he had just joined the Kings mid-season as well. So it makes sense they ask him, like, "Hey, we're looking for someone now. You've been out working out. Do you know anyone that's out there that's also looking for a team?" Makes sense.
Yep. Yep. That was huge.
And
Oh, and Dewey Michaels was over there too. He vouched for me too. I think he was with Perth.
yeah, and that was the first game. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Dewey was the reason we're still friends. I talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's the one that got me to Montana State. I had some chances. It was between like University of Montana and Montana State. He was my guy in my recruiting trip, and he was like Dewey, I'm the reason I went to Montana State. I love that guy. I was like, this dude's hilarious. Just a goofball like me. But he was also, I think, part of vouching with Perth. Like, yeah, the kid can play. So when they checked around with other players that were there, like, yeah, of course, that guy can shoot.
Yeah. He was a bit of the king of Montana for a little while there, Dewey Michaels, wasn't he?
Yep.
Well, I guess, yeah, that first season happens, and you mentioned that, well, actually, the season before you come to the country, the reason I asked that question, how did you get here, is because I saw that you had that stint in Austria. I thought maybe you did that season in Austria and then it wrapped up and then you went to re-sign, but ended up in Australia, like that Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber joke. Maybe there was something to do with it like that. But I'm glad we got you over here. And then, yeah, the second year, obviously, that was the season, right? 2001. It's a year where a lot of guys sort of exited that team you hear. I mean, Todd Munt left for you to come in, but then CJ Bruton, he headed over to the to CBA over in the US. You had Mike Mackay, Mark Dalton, Darren Perry, all the old heads kind of shoot off. Eric Cooks into an assistant role. So all those guys kind of jettisoned off and bring in a whole lot of young talent. You mentioned Axel Dench before, Charles Thomas, Damon Lowry, Grant Kruger, Matt Shanahan, all these guys come into the team and give it a bit of a new look. How would you describe the difference between the team in year one and year two?
I think because we knew exactly what our role was. I think everyone knew what their job was to do and everyone accepted it. We all figured out Brendan, like how he wanted us to be in gel, and it was like we all knew, and it's going to be okay. Like Brendan loves us, but he's hard on us, but he wants what's best for us individually. He believed in us as individuals, and then like guys, if you do this thing this way, I believe I know it's going to work. And we just bought into it, and we all started just mimicking him and mimicking, each other, what needed to be done, and we demanded hard work from each other at practice, and that bench got after it. Like that bench at that time, sometimes we would be in and we would kind of lift the team. We'd try to do like a +5. There was one stint of however many games they kind of looked at it as like, you guys haven't went down anytime you've subbed to anybody for however many games in a row. You guys went up like +3, +5. So it's like we were confident at any time to throw anyone in, and they were going to know what their job was. And then play within themselves. We knew who needed the ball. We knew who needed to score. It was just our super unselfish team, man. Like everyone, and we'd pick each other up. Someone's having a bad game. It's like, don't worry about it, bro. Like someone else stepped in and filled that hole. We all were kind of holding bricks to the wall and building it together the whole time. But we had this belief too. Like I remember in the summer, like I said, I don't think they were probably interested in bringing me back, but I go, hey, I met this guy named Axel Dench, played at Gonzaga. I watched Gonzaga on TV. I was like, this dude's not bad, right? And I was like, so we ended up literally, I think, getting an apartment together. And I was like, I remember talking to Chuck a couple of times, like, Chuck, I got this guy. I'm telling you, I think I talk him into coming. And I go, I really think I could get him to come and play if he was able to. Would that help me a little bit? And if I remember right, you'd have to ask Chuck. If I remember, it was like, yeah, like if we could patch something together, maybe maybe we can afford me again. It's like, because what the budget was, what better player you're gonna get, or it's like you can always go backwards. But so I was a safe bet. I was a definitely safe bet. But I really was, me and Axel's friendship really helped, like Charles and Damon. We talk on the phone. I go, this dude would fit in, man. This dude will absolutely fit in, and he'll understand Brennan, and he'll get it from listening to how he had to deal at Gonzaga with their coach and the unity they had. Because those players weren't a big fan of that coach that they played for at Gonzaga. They did a lot on the court together. And I go, Axel, that's what we do, man. That's what we do at the Hawks. Like we all on the court know our jobs. Like we love our staff. We love the coaches. We love everything. And the end of the day, though, the players know players got to make plays, and the coaches know we got to trust you with that. And we just built that trust professionally. And so adding Axel to just get to understand, like, it's the 5 on the court, and then it's the next guy's coming in. Don't worry about it. We'll pick you up. And he was a rookie and stuff. And I tell him, I was like, man, if we get you and we stay healthy, we get a couple breaks down the stretch, we could win this thing. I remember saying that a lot. Like, we could win this thing, man. Like, why not? And you always hear budget and this and that, and never been done at LOR. I'm like, bro, like if we stay healthy with our bench and the way we cover each other strengthens weaknesses. So I was like, we got a chance, man. We got a chance. And so we kind of would look around like we do. Like if Axel starts or if I started, I mean, I started a few games if I remember. If Grant came in, if Luke came in, Maddie came in, it's just like it was. I like if like me and Axel kind of played the same position, but I played it differently. He could shoot the 3 at the time. I couldn't. Me and Melvin played the same position, but played it a little differently. So then we started seeing the pieces come together, and then we were a mismatch nightmare for a lot of teams. And then the other teams were mad at us because it was like we're like the little stepbrother. We felt had a little chip on our shoulder. Like, why are you guys in this game? You guys with your players, you shouldn't be in this game. This rookie shouldn't be doing well. Like me and Charles weren't as big as we needed to be. Then the little demons coming. Like, how are you guys getting games? This is frustrating. We're coached. We out coached a lot of guys. A lot of teams and outplayed. And so that summer was big. Of just like then they invited me back when Axel said yes, and it was kind of not a package deal, but it was like, man, both of us together, we could really balance each other out. We've been playing together all summer already. So now you had roommates. The Americans got along with the Aussies. Axel's the new piece, and he's the unknown. but I'm saying he's good and we're already friends and we've already played together most of the summer. Like,
Yeah.
again, we came into camp way ahead of the jobs and the roles. And so we got into the fine tuning and the timing and of the actual real bits and 2 minute, how you win games in the last 2 minutes early in the season because the camaraderie was there. And Axel is just this great piece and there's no infighting. And so I remember our practices were so dialed and so specific so early in the season. We were winning games in the last 3 minutes a lot. And we were closing big games a lot. And I felt a big part of that was we were able to get into those dynamics early in the season. You're not having the fighting and who's going to be the leader and who's the man, all that locker room stuff. It was already just like, Axel, if you come, I can tell you this is your role right now. Like, I can tell you this is what you're going to be doing. Here's what Brendan's going to talk to you crazy once in a while, dude. You'll be okay. Don't worry about it. You're going to get cussed out. Don't worry about it. And I was still kind of up and down. I was still dealing with some of my identity too. Like I had some bad games and stuff, but everyone just picked each other up. And that was what was special. I mean, like I tell the kids now, I was like, good teams have good players, great teams have great players and great coaches. Championship teams police each other from within and hold each other accountable and do exactly what they're told when they're told to do it. No questions asked. I mean, that's a championship team. They police each other from within and they have great leadership. And Brendan was willing to take all the arrows. Like he took all the negative. He's like, that's on me. That's on me. That's on us. We'll figure it out. It was never Matt this or he just always had our back, man. Like just always had our back. And so that stuff was those championship teams are hard to come by. It was special stuff, man. That was a good group of guys.
And I can also see part of the reason for the team wanting to bring you back is like you're bringing in Charles Thomas and, a talented player, but a little bit unknown personality. And it's not uncommon to see, if you're going to bring in two new imports, do they sort of, like you said, Brendan's after guys who are just like, here's the process. Trust me, listen to me, do this. You have those two imports come in and they decide that, this isn't the way to go between themselves and they're just off on their own little boat while the rest of the team are somewhere else. That's not uncommon to happen. So to have you already there locked in, like I said, it also makes sense for Axel as well. But then to say, hey, if we do this way, we can bring in like a really talented guy and we know that the core around him, including Matt, would be a way to keep, not to say that Charles was, a wild card or anything like that, but just the unknown player, to bring in a player like that who's super talented, is probably a safer bet for them. And then, like you said, the result of that, you guys have got 7 guys putting up double figures every game. Like Melvin Thomas leading the way, 19 points a game, 10 boards. Charles Thomas comes in, he's pulling down 17 and 5. Savills, a Swiss Army knife. He's got 16, 10, 4 assists, 2 steals and a block. Lowry's putting up 14 points in his first season in the league. Dench comes in, rookie of the year, 13 points, 6 rebounds. Matt Campbell's got 13 points a game. I mean, you guys were really hard to defend. There was just so many options.
Yep, we had like kind of 3 different units of 5 with that group. There's 3 units of 5. We need an energy 5, defensive 5, scoring 5, like, and then Saville just having a breakout year. Like you say in that one block, but that one block was the game saving block so many times, like Melvin's offensive rebound was the rebound that led to the win. Axel's 3 and Matt's 3 were the threes, like, Damon's free throws were always Damon's free throws, and he ends it like a magic dream. That final game at Adelaide at home was it is the funnest game I've ever been a part of in my entire life. And I was nowhere near the main character. Isn't that, you know what I mean? Like that's the love we had for each other. It was like, Damon, what a moment, bro. Like, are you serious? Like, we're dying laughing. I'm laughing out loud because, like, you can't write this, bro. I'm sitting there going, there's no way, dude. This dude is standing there with free throws to win it. I was like, there's no way, bro. I remember in the timeout, Brennan's like, go win the game, bro. Like, go win the game, dude. Just go win it. Didn't even say anything. Just go win the game. It's like no pressure. And what a moment. And I just hugged him and Charles, and I couldn't stop hugging those dudes. I was like, this is the greatest game I've ever heard of. This is insane to win this. It was crazy, but years later, I heard the controversy. Like should have been able to let Stiffy stand on there and tap it off, and I heard all that stuff on this thing, but is what
Yeah.
it is.
Because you beat Perth first off in I think the qualifying finals because finished fourth, and then there's that series against Adelaide, which they win one, you win one, and then that game 3 comes down to Damon Lowry's getting fouled by Darnell Mee, and then those free throws that I think every single one of them bounced around about 6 or 7 times on the rim or something like that
No.
to send you guys into the grand final. And then you go up against Townsville, and a great regional battle there where again, you're like you said, just a member on the bench for the most part. I think game 2 you had a nice little 8-point game there. Game 1 you had a nice little game, 12 points, and then game 2. But by the third game, you were pretty much just a passenger for that one. But the excitement of winning that and all the effort towards it, and then I mean, a lot of people probably remember you running around with a video camera at the time as well. Like I guess to summarize all that series up into a bit of a memory that you can share. What do you got for us?
What, from Damon's game or just the whole afterwards?
Just the whole, I mean, there's a lot there, but the semifinals, the grand final. I don't know anything else jump up.
Yeah, just like to be in that, man. Like, in Townsville, I think I had a good game too, and I didn't even think I didn't even play good, but they didn't really need me either. Like, because there was a lot of Townsville also had a lot of big guys, so we needed to be a little bit smaller and quicker. And I wasn't doing well that game, and I was just like, I'm not making shots or whatever I was doing from the one before. But I just remember Charles had a pretty good game. We made free throws again down the stretch. I remember Saville had a big game. Melvin had a big game. Matt had a big game. Shanahan, everyone contributed for the most part. But I mean, Saville carried. I mean, obviously Saville had a phenomenal game, and Charles. I think I've watched that game once since then. Charles had a decent game. Damon had a pretty good game, but
Well,
I didn't
the
do
grand
much.
final was a close one. That was 3 points.
Yeah, it was close.
Yeah,
free throws.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Melvin led the way, 24 and 14. You had 12 points. You filled the stat sheet: 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks.
Oh, did I? I didn't remember
there
that.
You go.
That's
and
awesome.
Then game 2, you still had a good game. That was at Townsville, but you had 8 points, but you guys smashed them. They smashed you in that game in Townsville. So you guys went to the bench for a little bit there. And then that third game, that was where you guys bounced back and ended up, again, winning a tight one. 97-94 was the decider.
Yep.
And
that's Jeff Rose had a tough game. I mean, we made it tough on him. Not that he had it tough. He's a phenomenal player. But, like, we did what we needed to do to just take him as least amount of impact he could have with our scout. Our scout on him was incredible. Goodwin stepped up. I think he had a good game. And then I think their big guy, I forget that big kid, kind of fouled out, or he got in foul trouble. Mike had a big game. He had some big shots.
Yeah, David Hinton was that big guy, but Rob Rose was, and Pat Reedy were probably Mike had
Pat Reedy. What was the skinny? It's a tall, skinny guy. Well, probably Pat Reedy.
Andrew
right?
Goodwin, I think you're thinking of. Andrew Goodwin.
Yeah, he got in foul trouble, and he was. And Axel played good that game too. But just having the video camera around, I was just going like, this is a dream, man. Like, I'm in Australia playing professional basketball. Like, why would I ever have a bad day? This is the greatest thing ever. And going to all those places I'd been and running all over the world trying to find someone who appreciated me, to finally find coaches and a team that appreciated me and kind of wanted me around, to get invited back was so validating, like, and then, like, just to be a part of a winning team and then to have a chance to win. I'm like, I'm recording this, dude. No one's ever going to believe this story. I'm recording this. This is awesome.
Well, like we said at the start before we started recording, now you see every guy walking around with a camera or a phone or whatever else. So the original basketball social media content creator, Matt Garrison, for those that didn't know.
That's right, man. That's right.
Well, so the next year you end up in Cairns, and I mean, I don't know anything other than what was in the media, but the whole story or the narrative was that they offered you a nice little deal there, and you and Wollongong couldn't match it. So you head over to Cairns, and very shortly after that, they can't afford to pay you. Cairns always was falling into financial troubles around then, and they release you. But that's all what happens before you head to Adelaide. But is that the story, or what can you tell us about it?
Well, I think when I got there, everything was great. But then I remember us losing to West Sydney, the Razorbacks, and Sydney by 50. we lost 2 games by 50. And I remember coming in the hotel room, coach called the meeting and it's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, and everyone's kind of looking around, no one's saying anything. They're kind of looking at me and I go, "Guys, we got to regroup. We got to get back together. Like, we're just not on the same page. We're not competing. We're not playing hard. Like, I don't know my role essentially. And I think some of the guys don't know. And I love Aaron Trahair and Stewart, but we were a guard shoot team and they were kind of shooting the ball which was fine. And that was a different adjustment for me because they weren't bad shots. They weren't selfish shots. It was just like our guards shoot a lot. And now the big guys are behind the ball a lot. So in transition, if we have a couple bad shooting nights, all your rebound power and defensive transition power is behind. Like we're coming from behind because it's long rebound or, shots that start fast breaks. And we get down 8 or 10 real quick, timeout, and we come down and miss a couple shots because we were really trying to run like kind of more of how the game is today, but we didn't have the transition defense for it. So we're just getting blown out, man. Like our losses are massive. And that was one of the things I remember. I'm sure that's not all of it. I'm sure there was other things, but I got sick too. I lost a lot of weight. I remember getting sick and I just having stomach problems and I just mentally was out of it and not picking up the stuff, having a hard time, with the playbooks and just trying to figure out this whole new thing. And we were young too, and the league was good, and it was like, ugh,
It was only Cairns for second season in the league, so that was
Right,
still pretty early on.
right,
And you're right, a lot of the team were just young shooters. You got Anthony Stewart,
yeah,
Ben Knight, Jamie Perlman, Aaron Grabeau, Aaron Trahair. Like all these guys are kind of young, smaller guards for the most part, shooting that made their money shooting the rock from a long way out.
yeah.
You
And
had your buddy Dewey Michaels there as well. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that was the
Dewey
main.
was awesome.
Yeah,
Dewey
that
was
was the main
awesome,
one.
and so we became. I mean, I think I obviously we're like, hey, this is what worked over here. Let's try to emulate some of it over here. It was just a different mentality, not in a bad way, just different. And so it was going to take us a lot longer to gel probably to get some of those wins, but losing 2 by 50, someone's got to go. I mean, honestly, so you can't, it's like I was like, yeah, I get it. It's probably me. Because I wasn't really shooting the ball. I was more of a system player, or that's what I thought I needed to be more of a system player. Like, what's the play? What am I supposed to be at? I was kind of trying to be more robotic. And I think, like, if I could have went back 4 years later and played on that team, we would have won a ton. I was like, man, give me the ball. I'm shooting it. Like, get out of the way.
Yeah.
We would have pushed tempo and run and shoot and been okay with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you lose 2 games by 50, bro. It's like one of the Americans got to make a change. I understood that. And if it was financial in the papers, that's probably a good thing. But, Lord had a plan and I stuck around and Adelaide, I didn't get was that guy. Someone was supposed to come from Europe, an Australian, and he ended up not coming and they were waiting for him and waiting for him. And he ended up getting hurt or staying for some reason. I forget who that was. Very famous Australia. Started with an S, maybe I think. So, anyways, Phil called me.
Martin Catalini came not long after that.
Catalini. That's what
Yeah.
it was, Catalini. And he ended up staying or got hurt or something. And it feels like we're waiting. And then finally, they're like 10 or so games in. They're like, we can't wait anymore. Like, we need an American. Hey, Matt just got cut. Is he still around? Fly him over. And so I was like, heck yeah, dude, my bags are packed. Let's go. And I remember going to Adelaide and I felt bad about this. I was embarrassed for a little while till I heard it happened. It happened with the baseball guy this year. And I remembered my story. I started laughing. I go, that happened to me. I parked at Adelaide because they flew me in like right away, week later, something flew me in. I parked in the parking lot and I tried to get in the front of the building. I'm standing there in the crowd. Like, how do I get into the gym? There's a game tonight. And I was just going to watch. And security's like, bro, you can't come in here. Like, you don't have a ticket. I was like, no, I'm on the team. Like, they just signed. Like, come on, bro. Come on, mate. You're not on the team, mate. We know everyone's stop trying to get in, clown. Like, they're mad at me. Like, security started coming. Like, you can't come in, bro. And then finally a fan goes, dude, that's the dude who just got cut. Like, we just signed him. And everyone's like, hey, Garrison. And then the fans are like, you go in the back, bro. Like, so I got my car and went around the back. It was so funny. And then, so the first game we played was back in Cairns. My first game with Adelaide was back in Cairns. And I remember I think I got an and one at the buzzer to win it. I think I hit a free throw and a layup to win it back there. And I got booed and cheered all at the same time. It was kind of funny. But
Yeah, and then obviously, yeah, I mean the team, because they'd started the season 6-4, but that's a pretty poor record for them. You know, they're coming up, they're sort of championship contending team for the most part around that time, and
yeah.
obviously this is you guys win it, so they're looking to win it that way. And yeah, there's yourself, Willie Farley's been brought in this season, young fellas, Oscar Foreman, Jacob Holmes, obviously Brett Maher, David Stiff, Paul Rees, all the vets are still there, and you.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, come into the team, appeared in every remaining game for the 36ers that season. I think, given a nice little break for Stiffy and Paul Rees there. And I think the best game you had was against Melbourne during the season anyway. That was a 20-point game. And then by the time it gets to the end of the year, you got the team's looking pretty good. You sweep Wollongong 3-0 during the regular season, talking about teams you played against. But then, face them in the grand final, they're out the door. And then the semi-finals there in Melbourne, you play against Victoria Titans. You guys kind of Adelaide always had the wood over them around that time period, but knocked those guys out the semi-finals and then onto the grand final there against West Sydney, which is pretty cool. The only grand final those guys had ever been in. And well, I'll let you take it from there, I guess, Matt.
Yeah, that was pretty special. I mean, obviously you had three guards really. You had Willie that had a absolute phenomenal season, like just was cooking everyone. I've never been on a team. Obviously Brett Maher was amazing. And the other shooter I remember was Mark Nash. Like he shot the ball well. Rupert Sapwell shot the ball well. It was just shooter. Stiff could shoot. Big fella. Everyone could shoot.
Mm.
That was one of our weapons. And it was shoot, defensive transition. That's what we talked about. But I've never been on a team where one player hit so many game-winning big shots at buzzer beaters than Willie Farley that year. It was incredible. I mean, halftime shots at the buzzer, shot clock shots at the buzzer, game winners, all those big shots where you need a jumper to go in, he made it. Him and Brett made it. And it was absolute daggers. Like guys were in their faces and they'd make these incredible shots. And it's just like, there's no way he's still doing that. Like here we are in these big games and he's knocking down these shots and these finishes and had some dunks. And then I remember in the grand final game, Sapwell banked a couple in, like he banked threes in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was just like the other teams, like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way we're losing like this, But we had a phone call a few years ago. The whole team was on, and it's just they talked about how statistically there's no way we won that thing. We were nowhere better than like a middle of the pack, maybe. But just the way everyone was beating everyone was kind of, now we had this, just over 500, maybe a 700 season win wise. We lost a ton of games, but we learned from everyone. And then you talk about just peaking at the right time, healthy at the right time. Everyone knows their job at the right time. Got shots kept going in at the right time. We got defensive stop after defensive stop. And then, you had guys like Big Fella where it was like, how are you making these plays? And then you're getting like a little tip. Stiffy's undersized. All of a sudden, he's getting a little tip block at the rim that starts a fast break. Big fella's taking a charge. Mark Nash, all of a sudden coming down lane, just banging on people. You're just like, what? Oscar for all these guys, it was like, and then I could just add, I just added to it. I felt I was just an addition, like, okay, now if Matt's making shots and these guys are making shots, like who are we supposed to stop now? I think everyone stepped up. Like Rube had some huge games. He was such a mentor to me. Him and Stiffy. I learned so much from them guys. Brett would always come. He'd always come in the. You had to high five him like this. He'd have his hands tucked because he was a shooter. I was like, protect the moneymaker. I was like, the stuff you remember is so funny. But I just remember being on a team with big plays and big shots and big moments. That team, because Phil was so opposite of Brennan in his structure. He'd have a whiteboard and it would be, let's say, practice starts at 7 to 7:05 is this, 7:05. It was like boom, 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 all the way to 9 o'clock and we're done. And I think one of the greatest thing, like I go once a week, I go, Phil, another golden nugget that I'll never forget. Like, what did you just say? Like, he was a genius. I mean, he was the Olympic team coach, right? Like, I'm sitting there going,
Yeah,
like,
around
I
that
go,
time period he was, yeah.
I'm playing for an Olympic coach. Then Brendan goes on and coaches the girls, one of the greatest girls basketball teams. I mean, and it's just like, I'm in like, this is legendary coaching status stuff. Like, I just, the greatest coaches are the best thieves, I think. It's like stealing the material and stealing the play. But like Phil and Brendan were masters of the timeout. They knew who was supposed to be in, what play was going to work. It was do this, then that. If that doesn't work, we'll call timeout. No worries. Do this, then that. If not, we'll sub. It was always just even keel, play hard and compete. But we never got in our own way. And towards the end of the season, we started clicking. Everything just started feeling right. And we didn't mess it up. We were like, we can't be the ones that make the mistakes. Let them make the mistakes. Let the other team make the mistakes. We stick to what we do. Play within yourself. No one tried to do something they couldn't do. They just, it was like one more swing because that guy's hot. Look inside because no one can talk. Stiffy and Paul, Rupert on me off the bench at times. It's like no one cared who got the glory. No one cared who got the shine. Everyone was for, each other. Again, that's just like I said, that championship team, the policing of each other from within. And then here's the game plan. And Phil would do that. We would get to like the fourth drill, on his board, and he was like, "Okay, time's up." And this was a genius coaching thing he did with that group, with our group, is, I remember Brett and Rupert trying to tell, I was like, "Coach, we need to go over that again." He's like, "Nope, we're on to the next thing. It's not on the board. We're on to the next thing." And we're like, "Coach, like, we're going to get crushed if we don't know that. We're on to the next thing to do." So the next day we get there and we get to that portion of the practice. And it was like, "Okay, guys, we got to lock in because yesterday this was terrible. Like, we have to nail it." And he goes, "Guys, now you get it." He would take it away from us specifically. Like, you don't get to do that. So tomorrow when we get here, that's not going to be the thing that we lose the game on. We have got to lock in at that segment of practice to cover that thing. We have got 15 minutes. He's not going to let us work on it. It has to be right now or never. And he would do that through practice. And that was a big part of our mindset. Like, it's now or never, guys. Like, we've done this before. Like, you have to make this play. This has to happen. There's no tomorrow because, and there's no more today because he taught us that. Like, I'm taking it away today. We're done on that today. It was like a great parenting move, like, hey, can't do that. And then, so getting in where we have a second chance tomorrow to do that drill to kind of make him happy and make sure we were confident in that scout or whatever portion of the drill was huge because we didn't get in our own way and big moments came. We were ready for big moments. Every guy that season won a game for us. And you just look back, oh yeah, that was Stiffy's game, that was Rupert's game, that was Mark's game, Brent's game, Willie's game,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, because, the series opens and, Willie Farley comes out scoring 34 points. You have a good game in that first one, 15-4. Game two, Dwight has a 20-20 game, really has 28 points. They kind of sock it to you at their home court, forcing that third game at 100. Well, I think it was only 100 to 103. Then you guys end up, like I said, the grand final record at the time, 19 to 31 3-pointers. I think, Rupert Sapwell had 4 or 5. A couple of those bounced off the backboard or whatever else. Crazy scenes going on there, and you guys knock it out of the park, 107 to 125. Not much the other team could do. Almost the perfect game at the perfect time.
It was. Yeah, it was. That was awesome. And Scott Ninnis coaching. I mean, we had genius coaches, man. Like, we really did. That's what everyone knows in America about Australia now is how well the coaching is, how well the development teams are going. What's that school in Canberra? The school
AIS?
yeah,
AIS,
that. Everyone to make it to that, Sav went through there and
Phil was a big part of setting that up.
Genius. I mean, it's just liquid gold. It's liquid gold. And what those coaches did through that time in late 99 to 2000 was just like Aussies, we all sit in the kind of result of that now. You know what I mean? Like, we had these phenomenal careers just listening to good coaches, like, who knew basketball and were students of the game.
And there's so many going over to the Japanese league. I mean, you've been over there and coached, you've seen it grow, but there's more. This is a wild fact that there's more Aussie head coaches in the Japanese B League than there is in the Australian NBL right now.
That's amazing. Yep. They're
So,
desperate. Yeah. They're desperate to learn, and the world respects your culture, respects your work. It's like doing maximum with little, and that I don't mean that disrespectfully, but like
mm,
you just like if it's a 6'7" athlete from Australia versus a 6'9" or 10 athlete from America, a lot of times the IQ of basketball IQ is going to be better from the undersized guy because he's had to learn to do a little bit more. And how you guys train the tweeners, the in between, you got to be able to you got to be really, really good at everything. Where in America, you're kind of labeled, you're this, you're this, even though we play a lot of positionless basketball, it's it's so much up and down here. We're playing 5 games to 1 practice versus 10 practices to 1 game. Like, we're so far backwards on experience playing in America. Everyone's just play, 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 play. There's not a lot of practice. Playing 8 games on a weekend, how could you possibly get any better in a 10 or 12 or 14 U? How could you get you're only creating and amplifying bad habits. That's all you're doing. And the 2 best players play, everyone else pays. It's a circus, man. It's bad. And versus, like Europe and Australia, you guys are teaching and learning and developing, and a 6'7", 6'8" basketball player, he just happens to be playing the 3 today. He's a basketball player. He just happens to be posting up right now. He's a basketball player, but he can bring it up the court for you. And the Aussies aren't scared of like the label, and they're not going to go, no, I don't play that position. No, that's not, I don't do that. Where America, like, I'm a point guard and that's it. No,
yeah.
I don't have to do that job. I don't do that. Where Aussie's like, oh yeah, right. You're doing everything. Everyone's doing everything, and everyone's practicing the whole time. No one's sitting out. Americans, they sit. Oh yeah. Don't get me started. But yeah, like, it's just like the mindset of what you guys are doing in basketball. There is some pride there too. There's massive pride there too. Just your whole country, the way you guys do PE, the way you do gym class, like the requirements, the standards you guys have, I think is a big part of the mindset of an athlete, a competitive, healthy athlete. And sometimes in America, we're too competitive. We're just compete and play hard. I think college basketball in America right now, the new rule, thank God, I think it's a genius for kind of the old school basketball guys to do 5-for-5 rule is fantastic. I love it. I think it's going to reset a lot of now we're going to see who can coach, and we're actually going to see who can make a program and keep one going and make it sustainable, not just buy the next team.
Yeah.
But yeah, like right now in college, it's just who plays the hardest and who looks the best doing it. And there's zero productivity. You look at the stats and you go, you played 40 minutes. You have 6 points. But you're out there being active and talking and yelling and doing a bunch of, and you're not a good basketball player.
Mm,
You're just a good looking guy who plays really hard, and you pass the eye test. It's like, but that's what happens. You go to 50 gyms of travel ball. Like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? You hear a big dunk and crowd goes crazy. Social media has influenced people negatively. I feel they make people look like they can play and they can't play a lick. When a coach figures them out, you can't play. You have no backup plan. When I take that thing away from a scout, or we take your tendencies away, you have no substance a lot of times. And I'm saying broad strokes. There's amazing
mm,
basketball being played in America. Broad strokes. But I'm saying we get down to the brass tacks of development. The Aussies are hitting it right now. And you guys, one thing, I've lived in Japan 7 years. They respect you enough. Come teach us your ways. Come teach us how you do that, because we're going to model it, mimic it, and we're going to put it on steroids. And that's going to be the standard for us. So teach us how you maximize the smaller player, because we have smaller players in the big man's game. How do you do that? And the
mm.
Japanese are going to be very, 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 very detailed on the how to, and the process and the implementation. And then their geniuses on sustaining it, making something sustainable in sport. Those guys are genius at that. Like, we're going to model that and we're going to grow it.
Definitely, definitely. You've been super generous of your time, Matt. I mean, the next season you end up back in Wollongong, and it's a good chance to get the band back. Funnily enough, Charles Thomas heads to Adelaide. You head from Adelaide to Wollongong. I think replacing Grant Kruger maybe, but yeah, come back into the team. They've got Cortez Groves this year. A couple of young guys, Geordie Cullen and that type of thing. And you guys go on a nice little run there. Finish fourth, end up making the semi-finals, end up falling out to Perth, though, where they beat you in 2 straight games, and that's kind of how things wrap up there. But anything about that season you can share with us?
I was so happy to come back again, but I was a little bit out of shape. I remember coming in because I was really world hopping. I'd been around the world. I forget that fall. I think I might have got injured a little bit or something, but I remember not getting picked up. Maybe what was that? 3? Or
0203, yeah.
was that the summer? I can't remember. I can't remember what happened. Anyways, but
0203, then you go to the Clippers camp after that or whatever, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I can't remember what I was doing that fall. I know I played with Athletes in Action. I'd went and done some tours. But anyways, yeah, I can't remember. Anyways, no, I just remember coming into that team. I was personally, my perspective, I was expecting
I
the
think you're at
same.
Beirut.
It might have been Beirut. Maybe I came after
Yeah,
Beirut. Maybe that's what
yeah.
it was when I got cut. That's what it was. Clippers cut, Beirut folded. Yeah, and I was free back home. That's what it was. Thank you. Um, and then I went back, and then it was like it just wasn't the same necessarily. Just I was expecting. Imagine your expectations are like so high. I was so happy. It was just like, wow, it's awesome. But I don't know. We just like we did. It didn't feel the same that year. Cortez brought a different dynamics. He brought a different, and it was really. I just remember I was shooting the ball a lot better, and so I also think I tried to show that more. Like I can shoot. I've got better. I'm not this other just 4 player. I think I tried to play outside of myself a little bit personally.
Do you think
Maybe
they'd
a
worked
really
out Brendan Joyce's system a little bit as well by then? Like it
what's
took
that?
everyone by
Yeah,
surprise. That 2000, like that
there you
championship
go.
year, kind of took everyone by surprise. But and they'd been really successful with it. But I think there were teams that maybe started to work out Brendan Joyce's system a little bit by then, and
Yeah, there you
maybe
go.
maybe had some better answers for it.
Yeah, and then trying to work with Cortez too. Like me and him, just I remember we constantly talked. Like me and Charles would communicate. We would talk and talk and talk a problem, but we loved to talk. So we would just talk, 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 talk. And we would work on very, very, very specific, pass it here, pick and slip, pick and pop. I like it here. I like it there. And Charles was really good at reading the D where he was a guard that wanted to score. He kind of made his mind up already what he was going to do. And so I had to try and figure out he's kind of a shoot a little bit more instead of like really see the D sometimes, and that was fine. I just crashed the boards and whatever. But yeah, it didn't come. I don't know, not as easy. Nothing's easy. That championship year is hard. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Thanks for saying that. That's what it is. I think they worked out the system a little bit more and kind of knew. And then like for me, like there was no sneaking. Like everyone, we all have weaknesses, and you make Matt play to his weaknesses.
Mm.
Like all good coaches do. You get the good players to play to their weaknesses and have yourself a chance. So, and again, Perth was really good, and they were a tough matchup too. They were big and strong. It was a tough matchup.
Mm.
S Who was their American that year that Perth had that big, kind of like Charles Barkley dude? Not that big, but kind of a down
Ontario
low
Let
player.
maybe.
I don't remember. He was good
Um,
though. I forget it. He was good. He was good.
yeah.
Was Tony Ronaldson on that team?
Yeah, Tony
That
Ronaldson was on
that
that team. That's
yeah,
they had Rob Feaster as well because that was the year they
that's what
won.
yeah,
Yeah, they
Feaster,
made the
'cause he
grand
was
final
kinda
against the Kings.
and he had a big year. That was kinda one of his breakout years, if I remember right. He
Mm,
kinda came
mm.
out of nowhere. People were like, "Whoa, who's this guy?" He was a tough matchup. I
Yeah,
remember that.
he was a big.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
2 championships, 2 very different clubs. A lot of seasons where you're looking for a job mid-season. I guess when you think about your career, we all always try and dive into perhaps not just the highlights, but some of the key learning moments or the toughest hurdles that you've faced or things that you kind of like, learnt and pivoted what you did from. I don't know. If we think about some of those things today, hurdles, big pivots in your career, what sort of springs to mind?
I think just learning yourself, it was such a growing time, like changing like I talked about, changing positions also changed my identity a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think those first couple of years I was searching to kind of fit in and find an identity of just like what's required from Australian culture and that kind of thing. And so if I could have figured a little bit of that out earlier in life, and then coming back from my knee injury was always like this thing could be over any second, like injuries happen, and it was like every day. I loved playing hard, and because it could have been my last day, because I remembered, the Lord allowed me to have a knee injury, which just kind of shaped who I am now and who I was through that process. But I think a big part of that would have just, like coming into my own a little sooner, trusting myself a little sooner. I wish I'd have had a little more confidence younger, confidence in the process. I put my confidence in others, which is just fine, because there's some great people like we talked about, but just an inner confidence too. I sometimes struggled with, and I never could figure out why. Like I can shoot the ball well. I do. So yeah, just that. I think confidence is such a big key, because I was so scared about being that arrogant American, take advantage, me, that I almost lacked confidence trying not to be something hurt me, and just what are you supposed to be? Just go be confident, be a player, let people take it or leave it. I wanted to be liked a little bit, sometimes too much. And just those things were like, I got over it quickly, but I would put that out there for everyone to see, like, was kind of wore my heart on my sleeve. And so it was take it or leave it. But yeah, if I
Um,
could have been a little more tougher mentally, emotionally, at times from a confidence standpoint, would have helped myself and the team.
I mean, some of those things you mentioned, though, probably led to you playing, a decade as a pro.
Yeah.
Like it definitely would have fared well here in Australia, being able to assimilate in that way to a certain degree, and I'm assuming
Yeah.
Japan as well. When do you think you were playing your best basketball?
Japan. Yeah, like
Yeah.
30, 30, 29, 30, 31. I kind of tell my boys, like, from 30 years old to 33, 34, I just knew I wasn't gonna miss. Like, when I shot the ball, it was going in. And, like every shooter, you see the ball go through the rim a few times. It's like, man, now my confidence is there, and I'm just, give me the ball. Like I would tell Fujiwara, my point guard, if you want to run offense, don't swing it over to my side, because I'm shooting it. If you want to run offense, go that way. You want to start the offense. We joke, but I just was like, give me the ball. I'm shooting it. I want the ball. I want to shoot the ball.
Because you won
And
2 or 3 3-point contests over there,
yep,
didn't you? Something like, yeah, yeah.
yep, yep. And again, like, that's another label, because remember in high school and college in America, those labels, you're not allowed to shoot 3-pointers. You're a big man. You go inside. You don't
Mm,
get to shoot threes. And it was
yeah.
like, no, you can't. Or like a kid to a parent, like, no, you're not allowed to do this. Don't do this.
You would have been
And
labeled as
then
soft back then, right? Because they're like, oh, if he's shooting threes, he must be soft. He can't go inside.
exactly. You don't
Yeah.
wanna go bang, exactly. So you wanna shake that label, right? Get down there and mix it up. But then when the game is like, my agent was like, "If you're gonna make the NBA or you gotta shoot the basketball." I was like, "All right, then let's figure out how to shoot the basketball." So I just spent, like I said, my summers dedicated shooting. And my agent was so huge on my development as a shooter. Like the shooting drills we did, we called them the warrior drills. We just would shoot We'd shoot hundreds of shots every day. I never skipped it. And then me and him, when I was exhausted, end of the day, second workout, I go, okay, now I have to go make 20 game speed shots before I leave. And I have to swish 3 free throws before I leave the gym. That was my exit ticket. I had to swish 3 free throws. When you're exhausted and tired after your second workout of the day, you got a knockdown game. And he pushed me hard. Like, I was done, sore. So now I learned to shoot when I'm tired, shoot with a finger that's broke, shoot when your knee hurts, shoot when you can't see straight, and you got to make shots. Like, just from prepping for that, yeah, I just putting hours and hours into shooting. I'm like, I'm shooting it. If there's anyone in this gym shooting, it's gonna be me. I put in the most time, I put up the most shots, dedicated my life to this. Like, I was in the gym 8 hours a day, like in the summers, just shooting. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm making it.
Off the court, what's your favorite memory about Australia?
Oh, hanging out with the guys, like eating, like I loved, okay, my best memory was being single and money in your pocket and having absolutely no decision right now other than where are we going to eat. That was my favorite part. Where are we going to eat? Where are we eating? Let's go right now. And I loved, that was one of my favorite things, was like, who's going to eat? Where are we going? And everyone going from practice, from a workout, because they were hard, to eat and hang out and talk and laugh and, we'd always play spot the game, spot this, or we'd come up with the theme, spot this, spot that. And we just watch people and just made fun of ourselves. We just so much crap talking. It was so fun. That's
Yeah.
what I miss the most. Like anytime when you hang up your shoes, it's like you miss the bus, the train, the eating, the hotels, the hanging out, like the stories of that, and just hanging out at Sav's house. When all of it, like Matt and Duggar and Sav and Axel. We just play video games. We just
Yeah.
play video games and go eat, go to the beach, play video games. That was the routine. Go to Subway. That I never forget that. I missed it so much. Like day I retired, I woke up 35. I woke up and I just was like, I'm not a basketball player today. I just cried. I cried for a long time because I just missed I missed how fun the work was because I knew it was going to lead to a result. And to be fortunate enough to have national championships it's just so lucky. It's such a God thing. It's such a journey of faith to be allowed to be on a championship team. You do it twice. And then in Japan, we lost in the championship by 6. To even get into one is so impossible.
Mm.
What you have to go through as a team and a group
Because what's
to
it,
get
30 teams in that league over there, or roughly around that?
back
Is that
then. There wasn't as many.
not
I'm like,
me?
yeah, it was probably 10 or 12 back
Oh,
then.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's
Probably
a lot more
40
now.
game season, a little bit small. No, it's huge now. But just even getting in a championship, just to get to a championship, even coaching high school and anything you're in to get to a it's so hard. It's so hard to do. I'm just so fortunate. Lord's just so good. I call my career the career by default. It just the favor of the Lord and just having favor, and just being in the right place, the right time, and then ready to go. Like I was always ready to go. Like, yeah, I got my bags packed, passport's ready. Let's go wherever. I'm
Yeah.
getting on a plane. Let's go.
Did you? I mean, you played in Illawarra, Cairns, and Adelaide. There's some pretty nice beaches and pretty nice things to see over there. In terms of, I guess, just Australia as a country, what jumps out to mind? Places you've been and seen.
I mean, I've been to 16 countries. I've been to every state in America just by playing basketball. So I say that super humbly. But I think South Beach and Wollongong, I could live in a tent right there it's just gorgeous. It's the most amazing place because, again, just the people you did that time of life with, like being with Axel every day and Sav and Matt, just every day hanging out. I remember because like Boyle used to make us go like into the water for recovery. And I
Mm.
was like, wait, we just lifted weights. We just finished a film session and the guy's telling me to go to the beach. Like, you have to go swim. Like, where am I? This is a dream. This is crazy. It's like, this is awesome. So I think South Beach is the best place I've ever been. I told the wife, I go, if we ever hit the lottery, it's going to be Rome and Wollongong. Like, I got to take you to Rome and Wollongong. Just the beaches there are just amazing.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
lastly, to wrap it all up, I mean, we've covered plenty of stuff, but in terms of the highlight of the career, if you had to nail it down to just one, what would you say?
I mean, obviously, selfishly, walking into Staples Center
Mm.
every day for practice, and then walking in, meeting with Elgin Baylor, and signing my contract said NBA on it. And the silly things, you remember getting handed a pair of socks? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and you go down the locker room and your jersey's hanging in there. I have it framed on the wall upstairs. Just having your jersey framed, sitting in an NBA locker. You walk out Staples Center to practice. I mean, that to me is just like not a lot of guys get to do that. Not a lot of guys get to walk into Wollongong locker room and walk out with a ring. Walk into Adelaide locker room, walk out with a ring. I mean, I'm just such a short list of people, and just to be a part of that, just thank God every day for that opportunity. But absolutely, like, just shaking walking into Staples Center, like I'd sign a contract for the NBA. I was some make good. You got to jump through 50. I didn't care. I was like, this is unbelievable. I grew up in a town of 400 in the middle of Minnesota,
Mm.
and we lived out of that town on a farm, 30-acre farm, and I didn't even talk to anyone. I had, sisters, little brother, and and then in Montana, those years were crazy. We ended up playing our crosstown rival games at the big kind of arena in town. It would be 6, 7, 8,000 people at our games. And when I was in Montana in high school, it's crazy. So, yeah, just basketball, just the relationship. I've been able to just, live my faith. My faith has always been, up and down at times, but just knowing that God loves me and God had a plan for me, God's faith in what he's done in my life for my family now and what I get to pour into the kids. And I get to work at a Christian school and tell people Jesus love them. And, I was never always perfect, but we serve a perfect God. And I live for an amazing Savior that's forgiven my sins, and I loved just going around the world trying to share people, like, at the end of this thing, Jesus loves you and he loves me, and I got to dribble a basketball around the world and tell people that, whether I showed it or told them that, that story is life-changing, it saves lives, it's what this world's about, and yeah, and I think I know the Lord had a plan on my basketball journey was that. So I could get on a call like this and to everyone's listening, like Jesus loves you and has a plan for your life. Just stick to it and, and see what he can do. Because you're not always perfect. We all make mistakes and he's there to forgive us and wants that relationship with us. And, just sharing the gospel through basketball is the greatest gift. Like I said, and then having allowed me to be on amazing teams, amazing people, and then win games. And it's just unbelievable. So I thank God every day. I thank my wife every day. Just loving me and loving the boys. She's an amazing, amazing, amazing wife. She just put her story online a month ago. You'd like it. I think it's a podcast. Sean McDowell, write this down. Sean McDowell.
Okay.
He's a philosopher. We played together in basketball in college. He brought her on and he had her share her life story. It's about Billie Jean and Michael Jackson. It's called The God Thing.
Cool.
You'd enjoy it. It's a good listen, an hour or so. It's a good listen about her
I'll check
story
it
and what
out.
Christ has done in her life. It's kind of a wild tale of what God can do. But yeah, he just brought us together and I was just trying to raise these boys, man, playing football like crazy. It's fun.
It was a great message, and it's been super fun listening to, I guess, your journey and some of those stories and memories from time in the NBL, Matt. So, yeah, thanks heaps for your time on the show. Really appreciated it. I hope all those listening got a bit of a kick out of it too, and hopefully we can see you around Wollongong again sometime soon
I hope
if the
so,
lotto
man.
comes
I
your
hope so.
way.
I hope so, brother. Thank you, man. Thanks for everything.